Morning and welcome to Mind Discovery. We
Welcome.
are going live today because we have a secret that we
Yes.
wanted to share with all of you all on the mind body connection, especially with children. But we are launching it into a bigger, broader audience. So, this might be the information you've been waiting a long time to hear. So I'm Brenda Armstrong, and I am a retired interventionist from a public school system. And I learned a long time ago more reading and writing and math does not correct their problem, especially with our children that are just so incredibly bright. And so I did a lot of dyslexia, ADHD, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, interventions for our children that just struggled. And when I say that they're brilliant beyond belief, they truly
Yeah.
are. They've got a block in their freeway, and we have discovered a secret that can unblock the freeway.
Yes.
So I'm a former educator. I do have a neurodivergent son. His name is Seamus, which is why I searched the planet not only for him, but for the students I serve. So tell us about you, Miss
Well,
Catherine.
and my name's Catherine Talbot, and registered nurse, but a homeschool mom of 26 years. I homeschooled my 5 children, and I've got them to successfully be successful, wonderful adults, and some are in college currently. So I am a brain training specialist here, and then I also specialize in the wellness and nutrition and the science part of it with the gym and the biofeedback machine and all the
Everything
science stuff.
science, everything
Yes.
science. So today we are going to take you on an adventure of what we discovered over the
Yes.
course of our careers and what we're receiving from so many abstracts in the research world on how to correct it. So I've been doing it way so many years back without the research studies because I saw it. I was
Yes.
blessed with given the gift of going out into just one school district, multiple school districts across the state, across counties, and within different states. And I found the same patterns of behaviors. So that's what we're here to talk about. If your child is experiencing some cognitive delays, some meltdowns, some characteristics of ADHD where they're just bouncing all over the place, if you're getting those phone calls from your teachers, you're going to want to watch our program because
Yes.
you're going to find out some valuable information on we don't have to handle these behaviors anymore. There's actually some strategies that we can implement for our children and adults that can change your life, change your life.
Right. And here we use scientific techniques to actually reconnect the different parts of the brain and talking to each other. So you might be seeing a lot of these social emotional issues that are unfortunately becoming too common with the children these days. And we help to calm that down through scientific results where um, we can actually remediate that and fix it. And then we offer, we get underactive regions of the brain to start becoming more active and get all that fixed. And then, like she said, more reading and writing and math won't fix it until you get the brain talking to each other. And then we go in and catch them up in school.
Secret number
And
one,
yes, and there's nothing else like us on the marketplace in the US.
it's a brain problem.
Mhm.
It is a brain problem. Many people are going to tell you with dyslexia, we need 3 years of Horton Gillingham.
Right.
No, we don't. We can actually activate that region of the brain and just make reading and writing more easier.
And make their life easier. They
And
can go back to
yours.
having fun and being children.
The meltdowns. The
Mhm.
meltdowns are probably your first clue on what's going on. The diets and information, sensory overload. There's so many things. There's so many behaviors that you're going to see as parents, as teachers, as educators, as administrators, as interventionists, as parents, as nurses that just baffles you because you know they're super, super intelligent.
Right.
But can't follow directions. Or
Mhm.
you go to the grocery store and they're having meltdowns because the lights are too bright, even though they don't know it. So our very first objective is to share with you what's actually going on in the brain, why it's triggering these meltdowns or these behaviors, why they can't pay attention at school, why they're pinging off the walls, why they're looking up, looking down, going to the bathroom, all of those kinds of things. So what it is it? File it away. It's a whole brain problem.
Right.
So we're going to walk you through the steps on solutions. All right, first thing we want to tell you is that the world seems to think when children are struggling, it's probably the best idea to send them to a tutoring center or some more interventions at school. Um, Yes, they work fantastic. They will take 2 steps forward, but it doesn't correct what's going on within the brain. So first of all, I just want to explain the difference between brain training and tutoring. Tutoring is for like military families that have traveled the world, maybe been in different parts of different languages, and they've missed gaps of their educational system. Or they're sick, or they've been diagnosed with something. Tutoring works fantastic.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
repeating information.
Yeah.
Brain training actually goes in, and we have a very comprehensive test. And I don't like to call it test because it doesn't look like reading, writing,
Yeah.
and assessment, but they can kind of map the human brain. That tells you, well, not only what you're great and fantastic in, but what might be blocking that neurological freeway, like Miss Talbot
Right.
kind of mentioned. So we're brain trainers, even though we're former educators. We just found out that there's a path that's completely life changing.
Right. And this is a long-term solution to improve their cognition and their whole brain functioning together. So
You'd be surprised
it's
though, long term is like
pretty much
9
permanent.
months, 16 weeks, we can see incredible
Right.
changes with the brain, which is why we're here to share with you. 16 weeks, imagine that. 16 weeks of intensive remediation, brain remediation, you will see
Oh,
significant
absolutely. Yeah.
changes just in that short amount of time. All right. So our philosophy here at Discovery is in what I learned over the course of my career. We keep saying it, more reading and more math, and they'll just throw books at you and they'll just kind of dig their heels in and they'll kind of resist. And I think I was put on the planet to create a disposition in the context of learning. So how do you correct a disposition? Disposition is how they feel about themselves, and knowing that, especially for our little ones that really articulate what's going on, they will just claw in and just resist reading, and you will throw books at them, you will hire tutors, you will go to occupational therapists, you go see counselors, like what's going on when there's something in the brain that's just not connecting neurologically. So did you want to talk about the brain just a little bit more, Ms. Talbot?
Well, just that
Also the poster back there.
you will go to, like, say they have a vision problem, you go to vision therapy and you'll get some results. You dyslexia, you might go to auditory processing training or dyslexia classes or a combination. You social emotional issues, sensory issues, you go to a counselor. So just like she said, for these different parts, and they give you a diagnosis. And a lot of times they say, this is your diagnosis, here's a pill, or this is your diagnosis, good luck with that. But we're here to say we can get all the lobes of the brain talking to each other at once, and the results seem magical, but it's just very much scientific.
Yeah. So we designed our program so
we don't like the labels.
Whole brain,
right,
holistic approach to intervention. We don't accommodate; we actually remediate.
Right,
so
and we don't label.
We
don't label because
and let's
the problem is, yeah.
I have found in the course of my career, I was also the SST IEP ARD coordinator. And so I was responsible for all of the testing. And what I have found that most kids who were referred to special education, actually, when we did the thorough psychoevaluation, comprehensive testing, they would get strikes everywhere.
Right. It's not just one.
So if they're getting strikes everywhere, their diagnoses are going to be extreme. So yes, we need diagnoses to find out what's going on, but these labels don't need to hover over their heads. Because once that label gets there, it's really kind of impossible to kind of remove it. So as you can see, auditory is in the middle of the brain. That is where we start. That is where we start in conjunction with the brainstem. So we want to unclear that brainstem with primitive reflex integration. We'll get there in a little bit. That is all the rage in all of research studies. So we kind of unlock prefrontal cortex. That's where our lovely ADHD diagnosis comes in. Now, this is where I get concerned. ADHD is the diagnosis, but executive functioning are the skills where the kids are getting these huge labels. They're being put on Ritalin, other kinds of hardcore, in my opinion, narcotics for young people, which is changing the way the brain is processing information. It is a band-aid. It is a band-aid to get them calm to sit in seats. We are here to tell you no band-aids needed. We actually address the prefrontal cortex with something called MAPS. MAP is for short-term memory. If you look at MAPS as a big M, A, P, and S. M is working memory. Our kids have phenomenal long-term memory. They can remember things that just blow our mind sometimes. A is for attention. B is for processing speed, how fast their brain is operating in conjunction with everything else that's firing together. That's the first part of our brain that right in this area. Social emotional, Miss Talbot, you hit on it. What is going on with our kids? Statistically, we're having more bullying, more meltdowns, more students not engaging in social emotional conversation.
Trouble making friends and
Right.
relating to their peers.
All of
Yeah.
that. So we're in a little bit of a crisis with our social emotional kids and their coping strategies. So if there's anything that we can do to help calm those sensory systems, again, long-term solution strategies that make a difference. And I think we talked a little bit about the sensory motor system. Balance and coordination play a significant role in learning readiness. So
And that proprioception, like body-based awareness and
the sense of
all of that.
reality.
Yes,
So
yes.
really what we're talking about, activate the senses, the whole brain. So nothing in isolation. That's why vision therapy sometimes gets a bad rap because they're just doing it in isolation. Occupational therapy at school, some of y'all may get it. They go once a week. Well, if you're going to truly change the brain, you have to truly change the neurons that are firing together so that they talk to each other. And once they talk to each other, you're going to see a different person, not only within yourself, but within your child.
Right. And it's the, what do you always say, regular, repetitive, and rigorous. So
It's going to be
it's a 9-month rigorous program that for a lifetime of change and success. Is the way we look at it. Yeah.
We don't have to. Gone are the days where we just had to settle with our IQ and our intelligence and our sensory motor systems, our coordination and balance. Those days are gone. And now we have research studies across the world that are confirming what we've known for quite some time. So, what are cognitive skills? I get asked that all the time. Like, what is cognition? We hear that all the time, especially on the news lately, about what is cognitive decline? What is cognition? What does it mean? How does that interfere with learning? Cognitive skills are the foundation of who we are as human beings. And again, we'll go back to that maps because I think it's an easy way to put it in perspective. But when those things are working efficiently, when both sides of the brain, the right side of the brain is talking to the left side of the brain, and the different lobes are interacting with each other, with the neurons firing and the dendrites connecting in the channels, guess what? A functioning human being. So a lot of the anxiety, a lot of the depression, a lot of the resistance to books, a lot of the meltdowns will go away. So when the cognition's not developed, that's where you're going to see difficulties. Whether you're an adult in the workplace, getting along with others, or you're a child, like what Miss Talbot said, making friends, thinking, staying on task. And I'll give you a little example. I'm vision disabled, so I was told my whole life that I had a diagnosis of ADHD. However, if you watch, I'm a plus 10, plus 11, you don't drive, and my visual processing score is about 30. So when I do a task, I look up, I look down, I look to the side, I get up, I walk the hallway. I don't have ADHD. I have a visual processing disorder, which makes it really hard for me to keep my eyes on task. Again, related to those basic cognitive skills. So a lot of times you may be struggling with behaviors that look like ADHD when they or may in fact not be ADHD at all. We are seeing such a significant rise in our diagnoses that I'm starting to question if they're accurate.
Right. And visual processing disorders have to do with the eye muscles. In Brenda's case, hers is a retina damage from, premature birth, and no, they didn't used to put blinders on the baby's eyes. So hers is a little bit
Other
different.
story.
Right. Except I just want to say the visual processing that you're probably experiencing, that's definitely something that we can get that number way, way up and make your life
Take this
easier.
time. I know that we had another visual presentation, but I just want to jump on that.
Oh, okay.
Visual processing is what most parents or most even professionals, even vision doctors are not looking at the brain. Like my acuity is off, my 20/20 is off, which is where I have lenses on, which my lens is acting up today. But also there's a second piece, which is the processing of information. So I'm going to show you what our kids' eyes look like, and you can kind of infer with me what it kind of looks like. But their eyes will just ping around. They're not able to track left to right vertically or horizontally. Verticals for reading, horizontal for math. If they don't have a score of 40% going across, they will resist reading because it actually hurts. It actually is, slightly uncomfortable for them. I say hurts, but it's just more of an uncomfortable. It doesn't like send radiation.
But they don't
Right?
really know
They have
why.
no idea.
Yeah.
They have no idea that it could be their vision system. All right, we'll go into a little bit more detail. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
Um,
you'd already kind of said all that.
I think we did.
Yeah. We're looking at our slideshow, so we don't forget to tell you.
Ah, building blocks. Yes. So again, like we were sharing with you, our more reading, writing, and math. So we actually developed a building blocks of learning. So, and I like to call it, I already shared with you all that we're just not fans of labels because they kind of hover over kids. I worked in schools just way too long. I kind of break it down. So eyes, ears, and body is our current pattern. We're in process. We're
For
about
national,
ready.
and that's why I said nobody else is doing what we're doing exactly in the nation.
Combining with our experiences with kids
And education.
and science and education. So we're doing a blend of science and education. So until their eyes are talking to their ears and their ears are talking to their body, there will be brain disruptions. So we correct those three things first, then we enhance the vision and auditory systems. So if you can just imagine eyes, ears, body, two more blocks activate the vision system and the auditory system, then combine it with academics, we get a high functioning learner.
And increased cognition that we were just talking about. We can increase those cognitive skills, yeah.
And because we're scientists, we watch the data just to make sure we're on track and making sure that these kids can kind of get in and get out, and get back to being a childhood. And we kind of tapped on this a little bit. Vision is not eyesight. I just want you to get that in long-term memory. Vision is not eyesight. The entire brain is responsible for a little piece of our vision system. Yes, we have it tagged at the back of our brain. That's where the images are interpreted. But there's so many other things that where vision system is not only the acuity, but the actual muscles that are going left to right. And we don't want the kids doing this anymore.
Landing in the brain, the information when it goes through the eyes.
And that's where
Right.
because they can see just fine. And sometimes our kids, under the dyslexia umbrella can process information auditorily. It's the processing to the other pieces of the brain that get kind of blocked up. So we unblock the neurological freeway. So how do we do that, Miss Talbot? How do we do that?
And then as far as she was just saying about the auditory system and dyslexia, the Dyslexia Foundation does say it is an auditory processing problem for dyslexia because they can't take symbols and numbers that they hear and process them into print. So that's the disconnect there. And so we say hearing is not understanding. You might think they're not paying attention. I tell them to do something and they can't remember what I said to do, three little things. So, and they're being defiant. So it might look like that, but they honestly might not be able to, while they can hear, they might not be able to process what you're telling them to do. And so that is something that we fix through a very specialized program here. And also the research does say that 70% of people with dyslexia do have an underlying auditory processing disorder. So, but that is something we remediate here. And then, like she said, we fix these things before then we catch them up in school and add that educational piece. And then students, they catch up very quickly.
Eyes, ears, and body connection. All right. So body system. And really people do not even understand the significance of body and brain connections. And it's very frustrating. I left at year 25. Most people stay for their 30-year pension. But at some point you got to say, I guess our systems are all kind of struggling at this point. So when we're taking recess away and we're taking PE away and our kids are sometimes disciplined and miss recess, it is a brain body connection. So until you address the body, you're really not going to make very many strides in moving forward. So we have the next piece of our secret which is hitting the market, which we're getting confirmations of research across the world. It's called primitive reflex integration training. So I'll pass it to our scientist and have her explain that a little bit.
Well,
What it
and
is.
what primitive reflexes are children are their primitive reflexes are developed in utero and then through the birthing process and the first year of life. But those should be integrated into the central nervous system by around age 1. There's one that goes a little bit longer than that. But what happens is just through for all sorts of different reasons, and it doesn't mean anyone did anything wrong. There's just reasons that they don't integrate, and they're called retained primitive reflexes, and they're very correctable through very specific neurological exercises for their body that can then correct that. And then it's crazy that then we see when those get integrated, we see a huge jump in the vision numbers as well, because retained primitive reflex can cause problems in school. It can make it look like it's ADHD. It may or may not be, but how do you know unless we take that? We it's like in layers. We get that one fixed first, and then we see is there more issues. But a lot of times they calm down and don't even look like the same child. And 4 of them have to do with eyesight, visual processing, depth perception. So and then trouble in school, reading, writing, food pickiness, sensitivity, sensory issues. There's just so many things. But what you can see is if you have retained primitive reflexes, a lot of those are it's boiled down to something's retained. Once we get it integrated, a lot of those symptoms dissipate. And so then we're off to fixing the next level of stuff. And so it says that some of the research says that half the kids who have a retained ATNR, that's asymmetrical tonic neck reflex, they show signs of dyslexia or have a diagnosis of dyslexia. And there is a simple exercise that we can remediate that. It also and get it integrated. And it usually takes around 4 months to get that done, but you have to do it probably 3 or 4 times a week. You do it some here, some at home. And then after we get those integrated, we go to our second level of body systems called integrated practice protocol. And it goes along with what she was talking about earlier with our brain mapping program. And this is body and space proprioception, balance, coordination, crossing the midline, mixed dominance issues. So, and we handle all that in the gym.
Our famous mind gym.
Yes, our mind gym.
I always call it, it's like the secret to our success.
Right.
And I knew it when I was at schools and they had these occupational therapy rooms, they weren't being used. And if they were, it was always pencil grave and not using it to its full potential.
Not the whole thing.
Yes. So I told you a little bit. I was born with a significant learning disability, and I won't talk about that much. But I had 0% of my primitive reflexes integrated in my central nervous system. If there's one thing I could help you all with, and help with your children is anxiety. My moro was very, very difficult for me to integrate into my central nervous system, which caused me a lot of anxiety. And I've lived like that. I'm in my 50s, and this was, the information that we're sharing with you didn't happen yesterday. This is over a course of our lives. What we have found to be true, and what we have found after working with hundreds, if not thousands, of children, myself included. So, and I knew that there was something very, very intellectual about me, but why I couldn't do certain things was always a mystery. So, not only when I was looking for the intervention for my students I was serving and my son, it has impacted my life in ways that I can't even show you through this screen. I don't live with that anxiety anymore. Yes, it flares up, but it's normal. It doesn't live with me on a constant basis. So, I would like to be a source of help for all of you all because no one, the anxiety that our kids experience that I see them walk through these doors with, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And I know what it looks like in your homes because I was there and we lived it. All right. Our next thing is we just wanted to talk to you and share some stories about our kids. So yesterday we had a little girl, and please go onto our social media. We're at My Discovery on Instagram. If you just search for us, we should pop up. We have so many success stories. Yesterday, we had a little girl that just started with us maybe 2 months ago, and she has gotten up to 75% integration. She was at 40% her vision system. Tested her yesterday. She is now in the 70s. We had a little boy that was at one of the lowest reading levels in his reading group at school. He gained 3 years of growth.
And his teachers thought, what in the world? Now he's the highest performing student in his classroom.
And we hear that story a lot.
All the
I
time.
mean, yes, it's not just a one.
We have another little boy that's getting ready to graduate that was very naughty. He liked fire. He liked different things. It's not very nice to his teacher, would not engage in anything productive. That little boy was here yesterday. He's reading, he's writing, he's on task. I got to share about 5 minutes with his mom as they were leaving, and his mom just said, thank you. I mean, this little boy's trajectory is completely changed. He smiles, he's confident, he's on task. He is a completely different child. Now, we don't change their personalities. We just don't block their freeway. So their little quirks, their little silliness, their little creativity, which is what our kids seem to be blessed with, the dancing, the art. What else am I missing?
Well, the figural logical thinking where they can build stuff.
Yeah, where they tell me how to run our program. I mean, it's hilarious. Even though I can't read or write, they can tell us.
Yeah, we will grow up, try to change our business plan or improve.
Every time she comes, we have the best jobs on the planet because we get to see them come in, and parents like Ms. Talbot likes to says, we give a lot of hope to things that we used to did not have this information, and we had to settle for what we thought was the standard. We are here. We need a building really high. So please share this with whoever you know, because there are solutions outside of yourselves, outside of us, and especially the school systems. The school systems just don't have a lot of funding sources that will help our children. I would fight for those services my entire life. We do now have, the dyslexia classes, which are going to be very, very, very helpful. However, it's a brain problem. So if you want it to completely go away and not have them struggle with reading, writing, math, behavior, anxiety, depression, OCD, food, we didn't even mention that. Most of our kids are picky, again, like what we said.
A lot of that is one of those reflexes.
Yes. So it's a brain problem. It's a brain problem. Teachers also aren't informed about a lot of this stuff. I was kind of a special teacher, where I was the instructional specialist, where I was mostly hands-off with kids. So my job was basically to teach the teachers. So I was able to go around to the different schools, see how different programs were working. So we absolutely have the best, because it wasn't what I picked. It's what the kids perform to the best with data, scientific data. All right. Well, that's all we're going to share today, because we're hoping you'll follow us. And we're going to go into the complete dynamics of the brain, and actually what is definitely going on with kids and adults and everyone as human beings, and give you some of the secrets to us.
Right. And this is our first overall view of our secret, but then we're going to dig down on each system and give another presentation on that, right?
So, the brain, the science.
So we have a lot more information to share. This is just our flyby overview.
Yeah, follow us for more Mind Discovery, and we will be sharing probably once a week from this point forward.
And check out our website, minddiscovery.com, and then we're on Instagram, Mind Discovery, Facebook, Mind Discovery, TikTok. We're on all of them.
Yes. Most important is watch the kids' story. We're here to inform you, but our thing is changing the lives of children. Making sure that trajectory is efficient and saving you.
And you can call us too. We give free half-hour consults on the phone to see if it's something that you'd be interested in, and how we can help your child.
And we don't charge a lot, because I told you my story, so we're pretty competitive, especially what you get. All right, y'all, we'll see you guys next week. You have a fabulous rest of your day, and we can't wait for you guys to join us real soon. Have a fabulous rest of your day. Like, where's the off button?